Good morning, guys. Just pouring me cup of joe. How we all doing? It's time to play a random beginner. I'm liking this. I'm not going to do the new to chess because people watching this are unlikely to be new to chess. So we'll do a 15-10 against a random. Now we don't know who this is going to be. We don't know what we're going to get. We've got the black pieces. This is nice. And we're playing guest 3815289648, of course. Have we played this one before? I don't know. Okay. The Van Giet opening with knight c3. Okay. Now I can play either centre pawn up. So let's play e5. Because if given the chance, okay. And now, okay, so we've transposed into Vienna. So we'll go main line. We'll go normal. See what happens. See what we're going to get. So I kind of have to assume that I'm playing a strong player. Right? And I have to assume that I'm not playing an international master or a title player, but I'm playing somebody who's 1900, right? Because that means that you never know. They don't know who I am. So it's got to be somebody where I've got a shot at winning. And you should really go into every game, ideally, with that same mindset. All right, this is quietish. I mean, he's blocked in his LSB. This is on. This is on. I could just bring the knight out. I think there's no argument against that. Sure, I can pin this knight, but then he unpins probably. I'll try and use as much time as he's using as well. While I wake up. Okay. He's pinned my knight. So I'm going to play my bishop out to the Italian position. Why? Because there might be stuff on. Might play this pawn and then maybe takes, don't know. So I've got bishop looking at f2, right? And I've got a pinned queen, which means we should think about the bishop f pawn sacrifice. Now if he does just something quiet, bishop takes, king takes, here with check, but then queen takes knight. Which isn't ideal. Queen takes knight, my queen hangs. Yeah, I can take their queen, they take my queen, I take their bishop. But I think I'm then down a bishop for a pawn, am I not? Okay, interesting. Okay, so what he's done here is he's moved the same piece twice in the opening, right? Look now, I now have 3 pieces developed, right? Having said that, I've only moved 1 pawn, whereas white has moved 2. But it's now black to play. So, I mean, I could, for example, play. Let's do this. Okay. And first, I'm just checking that the knight. Here, knight comes in. I take. He takes. I move my knight. That's fine. Another thing I could do is even knight d4. Knight d4 is kind of aggressive too. But let's get the queen off the back rank, and it's part of your development. It's what you want to do. You know your development's over when these 2 rooks are looking at each other and got each other's backs. So one of the things you have to do is get the queen off the back rank and castle. I could castle next move if I want. And it's Fight Club for the kittens right now. So what this means now is that if he takes and I take, I've got 1, 2, 3. I've got 2 knights and a queen out in the board. He's only got 1 knight. So I'm well ahead in terms of my occupation of the board. So we camp down races around here. What are you doing? Look at these. They are super cute though. I mean, how cute are you? How cute is this? F3. F3 simply hangs the bishop. It was the only defender of that bishop, and he's moved it. And I'm not gonna take any prisoners in these games, right? The point is to show up errors, and that was one. So my plan now is probably just drop the bishop back to safety, which was an option, remember, a couple of moves ago, right? After he plays this and faces off, I could drop back, but that's using my turn. And then he takes anyway. Yeah, I recapture towards the center, I get my rook on the open A file. All right, now I've got a couple of options here. I actually have a few options. I could take out the knight, right? Then rook takes and there's no kingside castling, that's gone. But he can still castle long. Notice he's moved all the queenside pieces. So now he is ready to castle that way. But if I was to drop my bishop back like here, he can't castle because the king would have to go to the c1 square and that would be in check. So let's do that. I like this move too. Hits the queen, hits c2. This is very common in not just the Vienna opening, but any opening when the queen's knight comes out, which is a lot of them. Couldn't name me one off the top of my head because I've not woken up. Okay. So I'm sorely tempted to do this, but also queen b4 looks at the b2 pawn. If he moves that pawn, I've got both of these moves and I've got them in either order. So if I go here, the queen needs to defend that. So where's she going to go? She's probably going to go here, right? Then if I do this, it'll probably push this. Oh, she can't go there. She can't go. Right, let's throw in the knight then. That would actually, that forces the queen to here or here. I would suggest actually f2 being the better square. Have to defend this pawn. There you go. And now I am definitely inclined to throw in the queen to b4. I mean, b3 pawn push. Oh, no, it doesn't work. It hangs the knight. Okay, sold. Sold. Had a really good over-the-board match last night against the Nimzowitsch Defense. If you haven't seen that video, watch it. Feels like something is starting to come together. Ha, ha, ha. And this is what development means. Look, now he's had to move his king. It doesn't save the pawn though. However, so I go here, he does... Oh no, capturing that removes the defender of the knight. So even something like this is a normal idea, right? Defended by the knight, hitting the queen, quite often picking up the b-pawn as well. Knight defends this, but the problem is I've just eliminated the only defender of this. And you can spot that quite easily if you draw arrows. If you're playing on chess.com, lead chess, whatever, and he's resigned. Let's do another one. Let's do another one. But you could see then the difference, you know, how quickly I got my pieces out. Okay, we're going to play a d4 opening. I've agreed that I'm going to play, excuse me, not going to play my usual repertoire in these games. Of course, there's no rating won or lost because no one's logged in. Okay, and it seems like S3310704397 397 isn't interested. So I can just abort because, oh no, here we go. The Nimzowitsch Defense. Okay, grab the center. Grab the center, both pawns. Right, I am now occupying, I have control over squares in my opponent's side of the board. Right, he's attacking this pawn, the pawn is defended, that's not an issue. So let's develop. Notice this pawn is not defended. So I will quite often highlight with a right click in red any undefended pieces on my side or on my opponent's side. If you're playing over the board, you have to use your brain to do this, and remember, it's very difficult. It's all going a bit slow, isn't it? So the general plan would be, if my opponent did nothing, if my opponent just kept moving like the knight backwards and forwards or bishop backwards and forwards, then I would want to develop. There's a mini light. Hello. Okay, cool. Right, I'm going to push the pawn. This is a setup I like. You can play it against many things. Any of these King's Indian, Peert's Defense, whatever, modern stuff. And now you see like one move with the bishop, two moves with the bishop, okay? Now, I've only got one piece out on the board, but I have moved 3 pawns forward. So now I can, for example, develop... I could put my bishop here, for example. There's no point putting it here, because what's it looking at? It's looking at this pawn that's super well defended. No point in that at all. I could bring out this bishop, for example. That's, you know, very typical, normal. Also getting ready to castle. So you see, this idea of moving your bishop out, yeah, I mean, I could have blocked with the knight and created my own pin. Well done. You know, but c3 comes with tempo, and I'm quite a fan of playing your knight flat, yeah? Then this guy jumps in somewhere at some point, and then this guy replaces him on f3. That, again, is a quiet move. So what he's doing there is preventing knight g5 or bishop g5, which wasn't my plan anyway, because we're in the opening phase. And when you know what you're doing, you're less inclined to start throwing your pieces at your opponent and trying to attack until you've built the right to do so, by building up, you know, a bit of a preparing your forces. Okay, here comes the knight. Now we do have another kick if we want. e5. It's often unwise to develop a knight in front of a pawn that could just step forward and kick it. So I'm going to go ahead and kick it. Now the knight could come here, which is not a bad square. But then I do actually have this, I think. Okay, he's gone there. See, again, it's moved the same piece twice. Now what do? Let's kick it again. And he's actually trapped himself, I think. So it might feel, you know, if you're 500 to 1,000, it might feel like some of these opening moves don't really matter. But they do. They do kind of matter. So he's moved the bishop out, got it kicked back, and had to burn another turn, retreating the bishop. And now what's this bishop doing? It's got nothing. It's trapped here behind a wall of dark squared pawns. Right, so it's offside. It's behind the fence. Okay, an opponent here again is lost inside 10 moves. This move, yeah, it's a normal developing move, but I wonder if knight ge7 was better because it didn't walk into this. And that move, by the way, only makes life worse for this bishop. Because his only developed bishop, this bishop's still in the box, along with this rook and the queen and whatever, right? This is the only piece he's developed. He's invested 2 moves in developing it, and now it's practically impotent. It's out of the game. Having said that, no, he hasn't escaped. He has to move his knight there. No, he doesn't. A couple of moves further on. Kittens are attacking everything. Okay, he captures. I'm going to take with the knight. Reason is I've got ideas about opening up this file at some point. If he should not take here, by the way. You're behind in material, so he's now down a knight for a pawn. You don't trade off. The only benefit would be that moving this pawn to here would improve his bishop. But generally not a good idea. Again, we might have ideas of queen to here, attacking the g pawn in this case. Okay. Now I'm not going to take his knight, I don't think. But now what he's done is he's locked the centre. Okay, so what do we do? What do we do here? I think we bring the other knight around, probably. This is still a move. I could still play this next turn if I want. That might just prompt... There, it's castled anyway. Okay, so this is still a good idea. And one reason is, after I play like knight f3, I could capture this pawn for free. Why can I do that? Yeah, pretend this knight's moved to here. Okay, my bishop now can dive in and take this. Why? He can't recapture. And the reason is that the g7 pawn is pinned. It's in an absolute pin by the queen. It cannot leave the g file. It can move forwards, right? But it cannot leave the file on either side because it would put the king in check. You're not allowed to put your own king in check. Okay, if knight takes here, I have pawn takes. Otherwise, it's going to be knight f3. Sorry, knight df3. This would be knight ef3 because either knight can move to f3. Sometimes you have to specify which knight you're moving. The same is true with rooks. Never with bishops. Why is that? You never say, oh, the bishop from f is going to... Actually, you can, but you have to have promoted a pawn to a bishop so they have more than one bishop on the same color complex. All right? Because otherwise, my dark square bishop is always... It's bound to the dark side, you know? And the light squared bishop is bound to the light squares. So they can never land on the same square. So you never have to differentiate unless you've promoted a pawn, under-promoted to a bishop. Okay, so here, I'm just going to drop back because I've still got the same idea. Knight f3, bishop takes h6. Wins a pawn. So I think what I'll do is I'll focus these incognito games at the beginner level, and then I also try and do, if I have time, each day I'll try and do a 15 plus 10 at my normal level. So I'll do a logged in random assignment game, which I'll pitch more at. Well, I'll just share what I'm thinking really. Okay, knight can come in g6, but not much benefit. I mean, it hits the rook has to move. You could even move here. It doesn't attack the knight, well, it does, but the knight's defended. It also gets in the way of the queen. It goes here. Okay, so he's traded off. Now, actually, I can take with the queen. I think I probably should. Reason is, well, one reason is I don't want to move this pawn off here because I don't want to improve his bishop, right? And that's reason enough, actually. It's not that I'm really isolating my pawn, because in theory I've got f4, and it's then left the queen side group and join the king side group if it goes here, right? But oh no, they're fighting and everything. You just want to fight now, don't you? It's just ninja training and eating and sleeping. That's all you do. And look, join that fight. There's another fight going on there. Look, kitten's eating the egg and the butter off my plate from breakfast. So 5 free-range eggs for my bricky today. Okay, we have pawn to c6. Notice now my opponent has a massive kind of honeycomb on the light squares. That makes this light squared bishop really redundant for now. I'm just going to carry on develop my knight. I think this bishop could come out. My queen might even just drop back to here, again reinstating this idea. Never be too proud to recycle an old idea. Or an idea that you've learned somewhere else. I mean, it's chess. The same ideas are played millions of times a day. You play the best move. Best moves if you can. Best moves you can find. That pride's got nothing to do with it. Okay, now his bishop springs back into life. There we go. That's a decent move. Okay, I'm going to come here, I think. Just, I don't want to disturb my own, get in the way of my own bishop. But really, I have quite a simple job now. I think actually knight e5 now is very appealing. Again, it's a typical move. You want knights get stronger, right? This knight is in a defensive capacity right here, defending the h2 square. But knights get much stronger. So for example here, yeah, my knight can actually control 8 squares, but let's look at what those 8 squares are, right? These are the 8 squares that the knight is looking at, okay? How many of those are in my opponent's half of the board? 2, okay? If I put my knight here, it's controlling, so I'll put that blue, right? It's controlling these. I've been disconnected. I doubt it. No, back in. Right? There's then 4 squares in my opponent's half of the board. And they are sensitive squares, right? They are tender bits. They're soft, wobbly bits that my opponent wants to protect. See? Not like these. These squares are not dangerous squares. Okay, here comes the queen. Okay, I'm going to drop my knight in there anyway. Queen can't take knight, because pawn takes queen, and you lose. Simple. I've got 2 defenders. Another idea then might be even bishop here. And then I'm threatening to move the knight with a discovered attack against the queen. Yeah, bishop here, rook AE1. And we're building. We're applying the pressure, and then we're going to release the pressure, hopefully, in an attack. And then push my opponent backwards, make him dizzy, make him do things he doesn't want to do, make him stumble. If we can, make him fall. Again, I've got knight here, but I don't see any. If, look, for example, if the queen was on this square, that'd be something else, you know, because we've got knight here, rook moves, and maybe, if you're very lucky, royal fork, but nah. Nah, mate. So I have plans. So his last move was over a minute. I moved pretty quick there. Now we're going to come across cheaters probably in this. Having said that, oh lordy, okay. Anytime you see pieces like this in this arrangement, you scan for a knight. Oh dear, right? That just loses material. Right, that's a fork on the queen and the rook. I can't put my queen here. So I'm thinking about what I do next and try and reinstate this fork and try and develop this bishop with a strike. Bishops are very happy just lingering back some of the time and just going, no, mate, I'm good. I'll chill. You know, when you need me, and in they come. There we go. Let's take the rook. If queen takes, my queen might actually come in to the position. I think she will. I think it's time. I'd love to take that with check, but it's defended by his bish. I do want to engage this bishop at some point, so maybe something like this, try and trade off. Yeah, maybe just this. Try and trade the bishops off. Because I'm actually up a full rook right now. Full rook for a pawn. I'm a pawn down, but that's useful, you know. I need to take this semi-open file and say, okay, well, how can I make use of that file? How can I turn it from a potential weakness into an asset? One of my rooks probably wants to go to that file soon. Not sure which one. Maybe, it doesn't really matter. It's very likely that, let's say his bishop moves away, right? He really shouldn't go to these squares, but if his bishop, say, moves here, which is not bad, then I might stick my bishop on there, because that's then an outpost. The reason is that these 2 pawns are too far advanced and cannot dislodge it from that square. What? What are you doing? Don't even know where you've gone. Yeah. So, you know, my bishop on... Okay. Right, so it's defended by the queen. I get it. I get it. Okay, let's centralise a rook. A random rook doesn't really matter. What? Got a kitten trapped somewhere. Excuse me, guys. What are you doing getting trapped? Where are you? Where are you? Come here. Stop shouting. He's not trapped at all. It's just in all my cables. Okay. Right, I think I'm gonna slam the bishop in there and say, right, this is mine, this spot. I'm in your stuff. The only way to get rid of me is now to use a bishop. There is no pawn on the board that can dislodge that bishop. That's why it's called an outpost. Right? This guy is too far advanced. This guy is too far advanced. This doesn't count. You take me, I can take back with pawn, I can take back with rook. Probably pawn, I reckon. But we're up. Again, we're up in material now. Thanks to the fork on the queen and the rook. And we're looking good. Okay, he's down to 5 minutes 46. He attacks my rook. Okay. Right, so I'm simply going to move the rook. And where am I going to move it? C1. Why? It's an open file. Rooks love open files. Happy days. What's wrong? Five of these things I have to put up with. Okay, he attacks my rook again. Well, whoop-de-doo. I'm going to go here and return the favour. Now it's your turn to do one. They're starting to eat food now, actually, so they... Have you been in the litter tray? I need to clean that out. Remind me to clean it out after this. How am I supposed to concentrate on anything? How? You see? That's why I like to go to an over-the-board match, and no one's got bloody kittens screaming. What? Right, you see, it's run off again. Run off again. Okay. So what are we going to do? I can't put my rook here, which I would kind of like to do. I can't do this immediately. Bishop will just take my pawn. There's no reason to give it up. Don't give it up. Chicane. Is that... kind of like it. I like it. I like it. Right? Now we have double eyes. We have two attackers on G7. Astronauts report it feels good. If you believe in all that kind of thing. Okay. Take here, we check. That's forced. And then what? We have ourselves a windmill situation. If you don't know what the windmill check is, it's basically this. The king has two squares, right? Rook goes in. Oh, hello. Okay, how about this then? You take me, I take you back. Now it's not on, okay? But the windmill thing is, you take, the king only has one square, it has to go here. Then the rook disappears over here and grabs himself a pawn with a discovered check. King goes back, rook goes back, checks again, forces the king back there. You just carry on munching material. Every time the rook moves, potentially it can capture something, okay? Huh. Okay, I'm thinking maybe just this now, right? Remember, this pawn is pinned. So, like we said before, it can move forward, but it can't desert its file without putting the king in check. You ain't allowed to do that. Need to find homes for these cats ASAP. That means I have to weigh you. I've got to worm you, haven't I? I've got to weigh you. Weigh you so I can worm you. And your auntie's going in for a spay tomorrow, isn't she? She is. Is This cat, she's 18 months old. She's had 11 kittens already. They breed like rabbits. I had no idea. I've never had a female cat before. Never had one pregnant. I mean, they're cute as hell. There's no question about it. Okay, guy's on 4 minutes now. Okay, he pushes again. Right, let's do the same thing. We'll just hit the pawn again. And now what are you going to do? Takes, takes, takes. You're in check. King has to go in the corner. Could be nasty. And look at this bishop still not in the game. Okay, so what we're going to do now is we're just going to open lines up. All right, this pawn or this pawn must now take pretty much. Otherwise I take with check. So one of them has to take. Then my queen will come here and try and probably wriggle through, yeah? You reckon? Not going to sack on here because it's got two defenders. There's no reason to enable this bishop. If I bring this bishop to life, that switches on this rook. Why? Ain't no point in that. So what else do we have? There and queen takes. Is getting queen off the back rank a good thing? I can't tell. So I'm thinking it's probably back to plan A. Now I might hang this pawn, but hey. Oh no. There. Yeah, that's pretty good. If you want to take that pawn, I think you're welcome, because now bishop takes pawn. Queen h6 hits the bishop. Bishop will probably come back to this square, but then I've got two attackers on that square. I've got bishop and queen. So it's all about the dark squares here. I'm really not paying much attention to the light squares. It's all about this. It's like a lattice. Everything's playing on the dark squares for the moment. Another idea could be get my king out of the way, rook h1, push Harry on his way. But still, it's a very good position to be in. It is interesting when you play beginners that these good positions do build themselves, because you play better moves on move 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 and so on. Just slightly better moves. A lot of the time your opponent might play perfectly reasonable moves. Now here, for example, that looks fine. It's an equal trade, but then what? A queen takes, and now I'm threatening checkmate on the next move. And the king can't actually move. So what do? You block with the queen? Well, you're going to lose the queen. Lose it to a rook there or lose it to a queen there. You know? So if you want to improve in chess, this is a cheat that you can do. If I do this, what might my opponent do? What might my opponent do? And is that better or worse? And then you can do double cheat and go, well, if that, then and so on. And that's how you get better. Don't say I told you. Everyone will be furious. It's a secret. 2 minutes left. He's in a very tricky spot. His last move was 14 seconds. He's taken a while over this one. But he's dead lost. There we go. Okay, right now. So my thought is queen here, which would actually drop my queen. The queen takes queen. If I take the bishop first, queen there, then queen here, also drops the queen. So it's good to check sometimes, you know. Let's bring the rook across. Or should we do this idea? Let's do this idea and just see what happens, right? With rook h1, Harry. Hurry! Run, Forrest, run! Run, Forrest! Now he is trying to attack rook. No reason to fear that at all. I'll just drop back, I think, and solidify. Not losing is a very important part of winning at chess, I've started to figure out. Try not to lose. It's like a prerequisite, if you like. Now, opponent does have, it has to be said, opponent does have an increment. We both have increment. If I was to take this pawn, that pawn recaptures, I win the rook, but what am I going to take it with? I haven't got anything cheap. I have this, annoys the queen. Let's push the pawn up and just give him a squeeze. Rah! Rah! Is it ninja hour again? It's ninja hour again. The claws are excessively sharp. They're like little hypodermic needles. Okay, I'll put you down. So don't worry, normal chess service will resume in the next 2 weeks. I mean, I don't know if I want to keep pushing this pawn forward. He's not doing bad. I have this, maybe. That one's defended. So you can use the goldfish method as well, of course. Draw an arrow between everything that's defending anything else. And currently, in my opponent's position, everything's defended. He has coordination. Let's look at my position. Okay, rook defends that, that defends the rook. So the rook is defended. They defend each other, that's great. They defend each other, that's great. Rook defends this, nothing defends the rook. King defends that, nothing defends that. So I highlight in red anything that's undefended, and that may then throw up a pattern to say, is there something I need to do? Or is there an attack? Or is there a fork? Or is there a pin? You know? Opponent's now on 20 seconds though, so I think it's all gonna end in disappointment. That would be an idea actually. Try and move the queen with the possibility of this. Oh! Oh! Hello. Okay. If I do that, that pawn is defended. That's okay. So let's try this. Let's annoy the queen. Bishop actually defends c8. Queen moves. Alright, let's block off the pawn. This is possible. Then I have to go back there actually. But then I can drop out. Oh! Hello! Hello there. Seems like we've got a fight on our hands, boys and girls. Opponent's on 17 seconds. This does not work. I'm going to do this then with... Oh, he's in check. I'm in check. Crikey. Okay then. I'll go here. Only feeding time at the zoo now. Okay, bishop retreats. Let's pin this bishop. Right, now this bishop can't move without sacking the queen, without losing the queen. Okay, now you want to trade your way out of trouble. I'm going to trade. Whatever, let's simplify. I'm still up in material. I have 2 rooks and 2 bishops. You have 1 rook and 2 bishops. Okay, so where does my rook belong? The open file. But if I do that, then I'm going to give up Harry. And I don't think we should do that right now. Let's move my rook back here. You're just threatening to grab a pawn for free. Opponent's now got to use his increment, so he's going to be limited. Okay, so I can trade rooks or I can grab a pawn. Trading rooks, I know, puts me in a winning position. Alright, now this pawn is pinned. So I can't do this, I'd like to. It's the open file, so let's have a go at this one. Semi-open, but there is a target pawn on there. Okay, I win the target pawn with check. Undefended. It's never too late. Undefended, by the way. Check. Okay, you see that? I spotted the bishop was undefended. And when the king moved here, I saw I had a discovery. Double attack with check. I win the bishop. Right? And that was because I said to myself, I said to you as well, you heard me say it, you can vouch for me, I said, that bishop's undefended, right? Didn't I say that just now, right? Bishop's undefended, therefore blah, 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 okay? So, and now it's relative formality. Okay, the king is currently stuck on these two files, ranks. So, and I know that there's no stalemate risk because he's got a bishop. That bishop can always move. Okay, this is all good. You take with the bishop, I can win the bishop. And that's my phone charger being thrown onto the floor. Right, you're going to have to go or I make you into gloves. Your call. Your call. Okay, this is now a fork. We're forking between two pieces. Not the most common fork, but happens. Okay, now we can win this. And now the king is stuck in a few squares. Right, so I want to defend the pawn, so I'm going to move my rook up. He can't go here. I have checks. Okay, so the simplest way to do this now is to promote a pawn. Let's speak to your mum, it's food time. Speak to your mum. It's time to wean. Hey. Accept draw. No, I'm not going to do a draw. I'm showing everyone how to finish a game off. So we're going to come through here. We're going to get another rook or a queen. So I'm thinking these squares potentially... Okay. Is that checkmate? Not quite. He's got this. That, I think, is yes. Cool. Well, that was fun. So, yeah, all for you beginners out there, hope you enjoyed that one. I certainly did. Thank you for watching. See you later.